Okay, it's 1 p.m. Welcome to our first business immigration webinar. We are very excited about this webinar, so we'll give everyone 1 or 2 minutes to get started. Welcome everyone who's joining. We will get started in approximate 1 or 2 minutes. Just giving everyone some time to join. It's exciting. I'm super excited. I will introduce my colleague Hannah Whaley in just a couple of minutes. Okay. Ready. So thank you everyone who is joining us today. My name is Isabel Saavedra and I am the supervising attorney here at 𝐸GAN. We are very excited to conduct this first business immigration webinar, and I want to introduce our senior attorney, Hannah Whaley, who will be our expert on this subject matter. Hannah has been with 𝐸GAN Immigration for over 6 months now. She's working in business immigration for 3 years, with a special focus on businesses and foreign talent. Hannah is from Columbia, South Carolina, and attended law school at Elon University School of Law. 𝐸GAN Immigration is an immigration law firm started by our CEO, Lauren 𝐸GAN, in 2014. She started off as a one-woman shop, but added a few staff over the years until about 2020, when, because of the pandemic, we became nearly 100% remote law firm and took our marketing to social media. Our client numbers exploded after a few of our TikToks went viral, and we were able to keep our engagement with more and more immigrants over the last years. This past year, we are proud to announce that we were named the #1 fastest growing company in the legal sector by Inc. 5000. And today we have both a focus on humanitarian cases as well as business or employment immigration cases with 80 staff members around the world. Please note that we will be conducting this webinar in English, but in the next couple of weeks, we will upload the webinar to our social media accounts with Spanish subtitles. So, por favor, tengan en cuenta que este webinar va a ser en inglés, pero en las próximas semanas vamos a subir este webinar a nuestras redes sociales con subtítulos en español, okay? So now I'm going to hand it over to Hannah to get us started on this webinar. Thank you, Hannah, for doing this with us.
Of course, thank you so much. So today we're talking all about the artist visas. So the big question is, what are the artist visas? The artist visas really refer to 3 main categories. It's the O1 extraordinary ability, the EB1A extraordinary ability, and then the P visas, which include the P1 athlete, P2 artist or entertainer, and then the P3, where we have the artist or entertainment that is coming specifically to be part of a culturally unique program. And we're going to dive into that a little more moving forward. So the first thing we need to talk about is eligibility. What makes an individual ineligible for these visa categories? And it really sums up to 4 major things. One is exceeding 180 days of unlawful presence for an aggregate period. What this means, this can be a situation where you either overstay your visa. Let's say you're in the United States for an unaccounted for reason, whether it's undocumented, it could be a variety of reasons. But once we exceed 180 days, you are ineligible. There may be ways to get around it, but that is a case-by-case situation. The best thing you can do is consult your immigration attorney. Second is failing to maintain continuous and lawful status. All of these pretty much go hand in hand, but it's the same situation. Let's say you're here on a temporary work visa, and instead of extending it, it expires and you're now accruing unlawful status. That can make you ineligible if you exceed the 180 days. Now, next is engaging in unauthorized employment and violating the terms and conditions of the foreign national's admission. These two I like to tie together because when you're on certain visa categories, such as, for example, the B2, which is the visitor visa, there are certain parameters and certain restrictions that cannot occur based on your visa category. And for example, with the B2, you're not supposed to be working because you're here for visiting or for leisure. So if you do engage in unauthorized employment on a B2, you are now violating the terms and conditions of your B2 visa, as well as engaging in unauthorized employment. And again, there are ways to get around these depending on your situation. So to get a full picture, it is great to consult an immigration attorney, specifically in business. So let's talk about the O1 extraordinary ability or achievement. So who is eligible for this category? So there are two main categories for the O visa. We have the O1A and we have the O1B. The O1A is specifically for individuals who are able to demonstrate extraordinary ability and achievement in the areas of science, education, business, or sports, while the O1B is the artistically tailored O1 visa, which specifically works for individuals who are in the arts, motion picture, or television. And one concern that people have with the O1 is that they wonder, what if I don't fit in one of these categories? That is completely fine, because the category of business is really a catch-all, where if you have an extraordinary ability, let's say in ice sculptures, that doesn't specifically fit into sciences, education, or sports, but it can fit into business. It's all about how your petition is structured to really showcase your extraordinary ability, your resume, and your career thus far. And the O1 visa is also a non-immigrant visa. And what this means is that this visa is used for temporary employment. And the time frame on this visa is 3 years initially, but then it has the ability to be extended indefinitely at 1-year intervals. So we need to talk about the other additional classifications with the O1 visa. One of the most important classifications is the O2. And the O2 visa is specifically for individuals who accompany or assist that O1 visa holder. And that assistance can be in a variety of ways. I've worked on a variety of petitions, including chefs, people within the science field, as well as those who have been animal specialists. And in those fields, sometimes there are individuals who help with an integral part of their career or their event or performance or work. And those individuals fall into the O2 and are able to come for the 3 years as well with the O1 visa holder. And the O3 is the classification for the spouse and children of any O1 or O2 visa holder. And this visa does require a sponsor, but we will also be discussing an equivalent that does not require a sponsor. And for those who don't know, a sponsor is an employer. And what that means is that the employer will be the individual who files the petition on your behalf. Qualifying criteria. So there are two ways to qualify for the O1. First, we're going to talk about the O1A. And just as a reminder, the O1A is the one that focuses on extraordinary ability in the sciences, business, education, and sports. And one way to qualify under this category is to provide evidence of a major internationally recognized award, such as a Nobel Peace Prize. And many people look at this and they become discouraged, but that is not an issue because there's another way to qualify on a different scale. The second way that you can qualify is by meeting at least 3 of the 8 criteria listed here on the screen. The first one is having a national or international award or prize of excellence. It doesn't have to be specifically excellence. It's any national or larger scale award that showcases that your skill and your work and your endeavor in everything that you're doing. Another way to also qualify under this specific criteria is if your job or group that you were a part of was awarded an award as a whole, as long as you can provide evidence that you were a part of receiving that award, you can qualify under that criteria. Next is membership in associations in the field. It doesn't matter how prestigious or low it is, as long as it is connected to your field of work. Published material in professional or major trade publications, participation on a panel as a judge. For this specific criteria, I want to urge people to know that this doesn't have to be a large scale event where you're at a conference judging individuals of a certain degree or certain education. This can even be as small as reviewing the work on a panel for your school or even for a church. Anything that specifically ties to the work that you're doing and the work that you're coming to the U.S. to do on this O1 petition. Next is original scholarly or scientific or business-related work and contributions, authorship of scholarly articles, evidence that you've been employed in a critical capacity, or evidence of commanding a higher salary. Now, that one typically confuses individuals because they ask, what does that mean? What that means is that you're able to show that you have either requested a higher salary due to your work ethic and your experience and it was honored, or it can be shown by even showing that you make above the average individual for your job description due to your skill and your expertise. And that's what shows that you've commanded a higher salary. Next is the qualifying criteria for the arts, television, and motion picture. They all have the exact same criteria, which is really lovely. The first thing that the individual can show is that they've been nominated or a recipient of a significant national or international award or prize. Although USCIS doesn't specifically say this, if you are applying in the arts, television, or motion picture, it is important that this award is tied to that artistic skill. It doesn't have to be, let's say you're a ballet dancer and it isn't award specifically in ballet, but maybe it's in dance or music, something that's associated with it, that will also meet this criteria, as long as it pertains to that artistic skill that you are advertising and petitioning on. If you're unable to meet that criteria, just like with the O1A, you can meet 3 of the following forms of documentation. And as you can see, the list is a lot shorter. It's only 6 criteria, but that's because there is a higher scrutiny on the arts because USCIS focuses on making sure that the O1B applicants and visa holders are within the field of art specifically. And to show this, you can show that you performed in a lead, starring, or critical role for a production or event that had distinguished reputation, showing a national or international achievement that is evidenced by reviews and published materials, performing in a critical role. And I just want to emphasize that these 2 can be doubled over for the same things without furnishing new evidence. And then providing evidence of major or commercial or critically acclaimed successes, significant recognitions or achievements from organization or critics relating to your field of work and expertise. And again, evidence of commanding a higher salary. And all you have to do is show 3 of these if you're unable to provide that larger scale award or success. Now, here's the general criteria that is needed just to be able to file an O1. And that is, you must have a job offer. And that is because this is a non-immigrant visa that is hinging on the fact that you are petitioned to do a specific job. So you must have a job offer and you must have a petitioning employer. However, if you're unable to find a petitioning employer, because I understand that is a difficult thing to do, there is a better option, in my opinion, that I love, and that is the EB-1A. But here are a few tips for those seeking the O1 in the future. First, maintain your network of professional connections. This is critically important to honestly coming to the United States in general on any type of employment or business visa, it is important in the business side to be able to furnish evidence from different professionals that show and can vouch for your skill, the work you've done, the jobs that you have worked. So maintaining that professional network is important. Second, documenting your work in detail. Typically, an issue that a lot of individuals have when it comes to the artist visas that they're unable to recall the detail of the work that they've done. So my tip to anyone seeking an O1 or an artist visa in general is to make sure you're documenting and detailing the projects that you're working on, the tools that you're using, anything that really showcases the work and skill and expertise that you are promoting. And last, apply for awards, ask to work on special products, projects, volunteer, work with individuals within your field to build your resume and connections. Because again, these visas really hinge on letters of support, letters of recommendations. So having that is critical to the success of artist visa and a business case in general. Now, what is the EB-1A? The EB-1A, I like to say it is the O1, but it is the green card O1. And what it is, it's an employment-based green card. And there are only 3 categories of employment-based green cards, and this is the highest category. And what that means is that it has the highest level of scrutiny, and it is viewed as the most prestigious because it is the one that requires the most experience and knowledge. And here it is perfect for those who can demonstrate their ability and their achievement in the sciences, arts, education, businesses, or athletics through sustained national or international acclaim. And as you can see, what the EB-1 is the O1A and the O1B meshed together into a green card, which is why I love it. So the qualifying criteria, as with the O, we do have one where you can fulfill this criteria and not need anything else, and that is by demonstrating national or international acclaim proven by documentation. However, if you're unable to meet this criteria, we're in a little better of a situation where we need to at least show 3 of the following forms of documentation, but unlike the O1A and the O1B, there are 10 different areas where you can qualify, which makes it a lot easier. So for the 3 that you would need, for all of them, it's showing a lesser national or internationally recognized prize. This can be shown through anything as small as a work award that says that you did a great job, you were employee of the month, employee of the year, best technical skill, what have you. All of those truly fit into this category right here. Next, similar like the other with the O1, we have membership in associations, published material in professional or major trade publications or major media, participation on panels, original scientific work, authorship of scholarly articles, evidence that your work has been displayed at artistic exhibitions or showcases, evidence of performing in a critical role or distinguished role at an organization, commanding a higher salary, or evidence of your commercial success in the performing arts. And what I really love about the EB-1A, having these 10 areas of criteria that you can meet, there are a lot of ways that you can really surpass the 3 to put yourself in a better position to hopefully get your petition approved. Now the P visa. The P visa is for athletes, artists, entertainers, and entertainment groups, as well as athletic groups, coaches, and coaches as well. So there are 3 main categories for the P visa. The P1 is mainly for athletes, but is generally for athletes, athletic teams, or entertainment groups. This also includes coaches in that P1 category. The P2 is for artists or entertainers who perform as part of a reciprocal exchange program. And people see reciprocal exchange program, they get a little nervous because they wonder, what does that entail? And it doesn't entail anything. A reciprocal exchange program just means that you have 2 organizations who are agreeing to use the foreign national for a specific need over the course of that year. And it's really just a detailed itinerary or contract that explains the exchange of services. Now, the P3 is the same thing, but it's specifically for those who are engaging in something culturally unique. And we will get into exactly what that means and what culturally unique entails. So the P1, to qualify for a P1, you have to meet at least one of the following criteria. You have to perform as an athlete individually or part of a group that's internationally recognized, be employed as an athlete by either one of the following sports teams, and it can be one with an association of 6 or more professional teams whose total combined revenue must exceed 10 million per year, or any minor league team that's affiliated with such an association. And I love that because it allows a little more leeway for minor league teams outside the United States to really capitalize on this P1 if they're engaging with a U.S. sports team. And lastly, if you perform as an athlete or coach that is located in the U.S. and a member of a foreign league or association of 15 or more amateur sports. And this P1 evaluation, it doesn't take time, but it is important to make sure that you have an attorney working with you or with your company if you are sponsoring P1s to understand exactly where you fall and to provide that evidence to show that to USCIS. P2 status is all about the reciprocal exchange program. And as I said, it is really just showing that there is a contract between artists or entertainers, company to company. There needs to be something concrete to show that there is an exchange of services. And by providing that, USCIS is able to understand what the agreement entails, what work you'll be doing, the locations, and that allows you to come on a P2. The P3 is the culturally unique one. And what's really nice about the P3 is that the agreement can be commercial or non-commercial program, which allows a lot of leeway for individuals to come on P3s with something that's not as grand of a scale, but still get the opportunity to come work in the United States. And by commercial and non-commercial, it could be something as big as working for a let's say Disneyland, a big organization where you're showing something culturally, but it could also be something as small as working for a summer camp, providing culturally unique experiences to children. And this culturally unique aspect, it pertains to all art forms and expression. It is not limited to traditional art forms, and it can be a hybrid or fusion of more than one culture or region, but it is important to be able to express this in a clear and articulate manner to USCIS, because this visa really does hinge on that cultural uniqueness. So what happens if a P assignment is canceled? This is something that a lot of P visa holders worry about just because of the temporary nature of their work and the importance of ensuring that the P holder is not violating their status, even if it is not by their own volition. It is important to know when a P is terminated involuntarily, the employer and petitioner must pay for you to have a way home, and they must also alert USCIS. But if you are ever in a situation where your P assignment is canceled, it is important to get to an attorney immediately and allow them to work with your employer and petitioner to get you home so that you're not violating your status and putting yourself in a position to possibly be unable to adjust in the future or come to the United States on a different business visa. Pathways to green card. So this is the fun part. So each visa has a pathway to a green card despite the temporary nature of the O and the P visa. They're non-immigrant, but they have dual intent. And what this means is that you can have the present intent of working temporarily, but also have the present intent of remaining in the U.S. indefinitely. And it has no bearing on your immigration history or your ability to adjust or come to the United States in the future, which is why I love these. So you can be on an O or a P and concurrently file for a immigrant visa. So what are the visa routes? First is the P to the O to the EB1A. And this is the most complex one, but this is a perfect route for an individual who has an employer who is okay with employing them on a yearly basis, but hasn't really built the connection for an EB1 to come here on a green card by yourself. The goal for a P holder here would be to get to an O, and that's because the O visa gives them 3 years and the criteria mirrors the EB1A. So if you're able to qualify and get an O with an employer in that first year or that second by yourself, you can apply for an EB1A and get a green card without having any issues or worrying about having to come back. Because if you qualify for an O, you will likely qualify for an EB1A because the criteria is the same. The next is the P to the EB1A. This is only something I would suggest to P visa holders with an extensive resume and career background to where they're able to fulfill the criteria for the EB1A. And lastly is the O to the EB1A, and that's just because, again, the criteria of the O is all within the EB1A. If you've been approved on an O, it has been seen that USCIS officers are more likely to approve because the criteria has been met and USCIS has already made that very clear. So going from an O to an EB1A is really about showing that continued extraordinary ability and achievement as to why you can self-petition for a green card. Another big question that comes up all the time is, can you apply from outside of the United States? Absolutely. You can apply for each visa from either inside the United States or outside the United States. The only difference is that everyone goes through the first step, of course, of applying directly through USCIS to get your petition approved. The only difference is those outside of the United States, once approved, your petition will go to the NVC, which is the National Visa Center. And once a visa number is available for you, they will notify you with steps to continue with the consulate, and the consulate will finish the process and provide you with everything that you need in your visa so that you can continue to the United States. But it's just that extra 2 steps of the NVC and the consulate. That's the only difference. Processing times. So the processing times, as you can see, the P and the O visa have significantly shorter processing times than the EB1A. But I want to also remind everyone that the P and the O visas are temporary in nature. Therefore, being approved for an O and a P is typically faster because they know they need their workers in a quicker period of time, and they know that time is limited. That's why the EB1A has a much longer time of 21 and a half months to 23 months, which again isn't in immigration really isn't too terrible if we're being completely honest. So that's really not bad. However, there is a way to speed up the process on the business side, which I love, and that is through premium processing. And premium processing costs $2,500, but the big perk is that USCIS will adjudicate your case in 15 calendar days. And the good thing about that is a lot of people may not be ready at the time that they file to premium process, which is perfectly fine, because the lovely thing about premium processing is that you could wait 6 months from now and say, wow, I think I'm ready to premium processing. I don't want to wait any longer. I want an answer in 15 days. You can have your attorney send in that premium processing, and then once USCIS says they have received it, they're going to adjudicate it in 15 days, and you still get to move that process along. So don't feel as though premium processing, if you do decide to take one of these routes, is something that you need to do, but it's something we suggest for individuals who are either in a situation where they are running out of time on their visa and they truly won't have enough time to extend it. Another is just someone who is weary about processing times and rather get this portion done fast if they're filing from outside the United States, because again, once USCIS it gives an answer, it goes straight to the National Visa Center if it is approved. So this process of premium processing is still very advantageous and should be considered if you're looking at a faster way to get to your immigration goals. Now, the key takeaways from today. The O and P visas require a sponsor. They require an employer and a job offer from that employer. Second, the EB-1A can be self-petitioned. That means you do not need any employer. You can do it by yourself and get approved and get to a green card. If you're looking to go into an OP or EB-1A in the future, it is important to maintain these contacts and document everything that you're doing. The EB-1A is the green card, while the O and P are non-immigrant visas. And what that means is that you do have to maintain and provide to USCIS your permanent residence abroad because you are here temporarily. And you can apply from inside or outside the United States. However, you have to meet preliminary criteria when it comes to eligibility issues. And just a quick reminder, eligibility, that's when we're talking about violating previous status, unlawful, exceeding 180 days of unlawful status, the 4 big things. More key takeaways. O's can be extended indefinitely after the initial validity period of 3 years. But the restriction is it is in 1-year intervals, which means it'll cost your employer more money to keep extending an O when you could just get an EB-1A on a green card. But it does allow you to extend indefinitely. The P's, I didn't say this earlier, but they are only valid for 1 year. Their contracts are way more, USCIS is way more strict with the P because it is essentially for temporary entertainment. So it can be extended, but it is usually only up to max 1 year, and there are no more extensions after that. If your employer would like to have you for another P assignment, they do need to file a brand new P. So if you are in that position, recommend to your employer to look at the O visa for you. And lastly, the O and EB-1A are identical in nature. The EB-1A is just the green card version, which means there's a higher level of scrutiny. And that just means that the USCIS officers are looking at it with a very close eye to ensure that all the evidence is correct and that you have evidence to substantiate the extraordinary ability that you are using for this petition. So do you still have questions? Do you need more answers? If so, that is completely fine because you can contact us. The first one is my email. I understand that the artist visas can be very complex and confusing. If you have any questions, whether it's about your personal situation or just generally about these visas or something that you've heard about these visas, you can feel free to shoot me an email as well. If you want to stay updated on everything that we're doing here at Egan Immigration on the humanitarian and business side, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Egan Immigration. You can also follow us on LinkedIn as well. Lastly, we want to offer everyone here a complimentary consultation. We are so thankful that you all attended today. We love serving immigrants. That is our goal. We want to get everyone to whatever immigration goals that you or anyone you know has for yourself. And because of that, we are offering free consultations, and the code is Egan Webinar. And it will be active for a limited time. So it is important to use this and get that complimentary free consultation. Even if you don't feel as though you may or may not be qualified, the best thing about a consultation is you get to understand where you're at. And the truth of the matter is, even if you're not specifically right now where you'd like to be to get to the visa you want, meeting and having a consultation allows you to work on those things so that when you are ready, we're here to help you and get you where you need to go. So again, you can go to our website at eganimmigration.com. You'll go to the business immigration area. You will click on schedule a consultation. And when you schedule it, there will be a question that says if you have a coupon code and you want to use that. Trust me, you really do.
Yeah, wow, Hannah, thank you so much. I learned so much, and I think everyone who attended also had of information to learn and to digest. We definitely want to encourage everyone who is in this attending this webinar to take advantage of that free coupon and have that consultation with you, Hannah. Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of opportunities. Take advantage of speaking to an expert in the field and getting your case evaluated. And we will be honest. We will let you know whether you qualify for something else. And the great thing about this is that if you have a free consultation with Hannah, and we don't see a avenue for you to go on the business side, we also have the humanitarian side that we can refer you to, so you can also speak to an attorney on the humanitarian side. So I'm really excited about this, Hannah. Thank you so very much for giving us all this great information, and we hope everybody else finds it very helpful. And if you have questions, because obviously there was a lot of information, do not hesitate to reach out and either by email or taking advantage of that free consult.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you very, very much. And we hope to do more of these in the future. We have a lot of other information that we can provide, other topics, other business areas that are, very important to our community. So, shoot us a message and let us know what other information you want to hear about. And yeah, we look forward to working with all of you. So thank you very, very much. Thank you, everyone who's writing in the. Is it possible to? Yes, we will send out the link of the recording. And also, we're going to post it in our social media in the upcoming weeks with Spanish subtitles as well. But yes, we will send links of the recording. Great, thank you. All right, well, have a great rest of your day, and we hope to hear from you soon. Take care, everybody. Thank you, Hannah.